Ranri Mukam, I'm a psychotherapist, Pan-African psychotherapist, somebody who really believes in we are what we think, so we need to be careful what it is we're thinking.
Dr. Umar Johnson, school psychologist, author, educator.
Tadia's greeting, this is Empress Reggae, a recording artist and our story too. Jah Rastafari.
Greetings, this is Gratulus, and I'm AKA Reset the Mindset. Yeah, Reset the Mindset in our story. I'm also a recording artist and an our story.
My name's Khadija. My surname is George. My writing name is Khadija Sasay. I'm a poet, I'm a publisher. So my display and exhibition is outside around Pan-African poetry if you'd like to have a look at it. Thank you.
So we framed 5 questions that we'll be going through. The first one is, who are we? We've asked the young people this question and we filmed video testimonies. If everyone wants to turn this way.
Sorry.
Well, we are Kushite, but mostly known as Africans and Blacks.
Yes, Reggae, beautiful. Yeah, we are Kushites, most popularly known as Blacks and Africans. But we have, Africa is a whole. Some people come around and divide it and have people's mindset here, there and everywhere. But most of all, we are all one in a mankind and womankind. Blessed.
I'd like to kind of just say who we are not. We are not BME, we are not BAME, we're not a minority. So that is something that needs to be turned around and rejected. We are Africans, we are Caribbeans,
I would say legacy, loyalty, and lineage. We're collaborative people, we're creative people. We also believe in kinship as well as culture. We have a way of doing things. And lineage, our ancestors. We are both our ancestors biologically as well as psychologically. The A is for ancestry, the F is for forever. We are forever people. No one knows exactly how old we are. We are God's first people. The R is for revolutionary. We change things when we find them not to be in our best interest. The I is for inventions. We invented half of the things that are used in this world. K for culture, A for action. We do, and N for nationalism, Pan-African nationalism.
I think we're a lost people. There are people who spend so much time trying to get away from our past that we are trying to be human or to get equality, that we miss the point that actually we don't need equality, that we tried so hard to be considered human that we forgot that we were actually meant to be divine. So we are the essence of all that ever was, all that ever will be, and our path is to reunite with that agenda.
I think we need to be realistic, and some people are lost. Not everybody is lost, but some people are. So those who are not have to be there to support and help those who are. In a gentle way, you know, nobody has to rubbish anybody else or you know, make anybody feel small about that. We're there to help and support each other and encourage each other so that nobody is lost. Thank you.
I would add to that the need to be authentically African. We have spent a lot of time and money trying to copycat most of the other cultures around the world. The way we think, the way we act, the way we dress, the way we establish our family. In many respects is not African. You have to be authentic. Things that are not authentic are not valued, they're not respected. And it's difficult for people to respect the oldest people in the world when they're so busy trying to copy the youngest people in the world. Where are we from? I would say God. We're the only people on earth whose direct ancestry goes all the way back to the universe. Every other people come from us, but we're the only ones that God sits down first. When we look at the African woman as being the first human being on earth, that means every black woman who traces their ancestry sooner or later comes to God. That's why our skin is black, because it's the color of the cosmos. That's why our hair is nappy. Those tight little circles represents the cyclical nature of African existence. Where we come from God.
Again, how do you follow that? I was actually going to say a very similar thing. We are divine beings. And I wanted to say we come from Africa, but we come from not the sense of Africa that we have now, but African ancient culture, wisdom culture. We come from a place where we knew that we were connected to spirit and we knew how to use spirit. And if we engage with that Africa where we came from, we won't have the issues that the brother was talking about there, about separateness and individualism and so forth. So we come from a place where we knew that we were connected not only to each other but also to God.
As you can see over here and through here and here, there are young black people doing amazing things in this city and in every city around the UK. And I think we're blinding ourselves at dismissing it as something else. And I'm pissed off, actually. If I can say that, I'm annoyed. Because, you know, we're blocking off other people as well. The black people who aren't religious, we're blocking off. The black people in the gay community, we're blocking off. The black feminists, we're blocking off. What needs to happen is us all come together. Absolutely everybody. Because we need all the hands in the pot to stir it, to make it work. Yeah.
My name is Delicia, and taking what everyone has said, I'm a young person and I'm aware of what's going on, and it's hard to see young black people who are like you, facing the same troubles as you, not receiving the kind of like opportunities that I have. Like, I'm here, but all my friends that are like in the know, like they don't have opportunities that I do. And like the older generation coming down at us saying, oh, you guys don't know anything. Well, how can you expect a plant to grow when you're not watering it?
Hi, I'm Aline. You good? Yeah. My question is, I want to ask the panel, in terms of where we're from, what do you think about, especially youth today, that they want to, it's not about where they're from, they refuse where they're from, or they don't want to be where they're from. Do you get what I mean? Yeah, that's my question to the panel.
Speaking about why the youth, many of them, have such an issue with accepting their Africanity stems from the fact that self-hatred has been modeled for them by their parents in a larger society. They are what we allow them to become. And in many cases, they are what we actually made them to become. In fact, in many respects, this generation of African youth, I think, is a little bit more revolutionary and courageous than the previous generations of African people. And the last thing I want to say, where are the youth taught to hate their Africanity? Public school. And as long as we allow our children to be socialized and educated by the privilege of their oppressor, then the mindset that they will manifest throughout their life will be one that is self-destructive and anti-African in nature. So the solution, one of many of the solutions, is to give African children an independent, revolutionary, African-centered education. You cannot give the child's mind to the oppressor and then wonder why the child acts just like the oppressor. How did we get here? I would say in one word, ignorance. We forgot who we were, the way we did things, the way we thought and acted with one another, the way we proceeded in the world. That cultural ignorance has a lot to do with where we are now. We also got here because we forgot our struggle and our experience. The reason we breathe here now is because folks who came before us died and sacrificed their lives. We didn't get here through the benevolence of white folk, and we didn't get here by voting. We got here because people protested with their life for better conditions for African people.
And the third ignorance is the ignorance of white supremacy. It is the ignorance of not understanding how the world in which you operate actually exists. We are losing because we are trying to equate the African struggle with everyone else's struggle. Now you can respect the feminist fight, you can respect the LBGT fight, you can respect the Arab, the East Indian fight, you can respect all these other cultural fights, but you don't put them on the same playing field as yours. None of these groups. Let's understand something. If you're African, there's a stage in your struggle that neither the lesbian, the feminist, the Arab, or the East Indian, or the Latino ever had to experience. They went from oppression to fighting for equality and acceptance. The African did not go from oppression to fighting for equality and acceptance. We had a third stage, and that stage was humanization. We had to prove we were people before we could fight to be equal. We had to prove we were people before we could fight to be equal. We're not fighting for the right to cohabitate with someone. We're not fighting for equal wages with men. We're not fighting for the right to have our culture accepted. We're fighting for the right to exist, to breathe, to live. You don't let another group's mission make you think that it is as important as yours. We suffer because we are not our own priority yet. We make everyone else's issue more important than mine, which is to say we suffer for not being unapologetically African.
Can we give him another clap, please? We are suffering because of the institutions around us. Yes? You can name them out. We are suffering because of institutions. We're not suffering because of accident, because of the youth there. And by the way, I love the exuberance of the youth and them talking up for themselves and saying they're on the mission and they wish to make things better. And they used to come together. I love that with the youth them, yeah? We're not here we want to see the youth them rise. My daughter is 11 years old. She's never been to a Babylon classroom. You understand? Her name is Reggae. It's not one of those names where her name is Reggae. It's in her passport. Her name is Reggae. The reason why I named her Reggae is so that she can pass on the legacy. Reggae is love. We fight against corruption. Yes? And it has an infectious baseline with the whole world love. But the world love our music, but they don't love us. They love our food, but they don't love us. So that's why we say reset the what? Reset the what? Bless you.
Hi, I'm Ravimba, and I just wanted to ask Dr. Umar to clarify what he meant by that our struggle is more important than the feminist struggle, because I, as a woman, don't suffer oppression differently. I am simultaneously black and a woman. Can we not incorporate feminism into the black struggle?
Let's talk about that. First of all, we need to know the roots of the feminist movement as a movement for white women who were struggling. Let me finish. We cannot be emotional. Let's be intellectual. The feminist movement was a movement by white women who were fighting against structural oppression imposed by the white male. He did not let her vote. He did not let her leave the house. He told her she cannot go to church if she was on her menses. She cannot go to college, cannot hold a job. Her place was in a home to cook and to raise the children. So she fought against that. And I understood it because it wasn't fair. But when she reached out to the black woman, she didn't do it because she cared anything about your situation. But she simply wanted to use your numerical power to push her agenda. And a mistake was made with black women in the feminist struggle by equating your dynamic with the black man, with the white woman's dynamic with the white male. We don't control if you get a job. We don't control if you leave the house. We don't control if you go to college. The black male, by virtue of his own unique oppression under white supremacy, has never been in a position to dominate the black woman the way the white man has dominated the white female. So we're not saying that those issues to be addressed because there are. We have domestic abuse. We have sexism in the black community. You understand? So there's clearly sexist issues. But we would argue that you should fight that from an African womanist perspective, not a white feminist perspective. Because the African womanist perspective recognizes that me and the black man are struggling together against a common oppressor, but I reserve the right to address any sexist issues in the black community, but you never let the white woman use you against the black man. Unapologetically African.
Everyone quieten down so she can speak, okay? Thank you.
Hi, I'm Habiba. To stand in solidarity with sister here and to comment on what Dr. Umar has said. First of all, I think it's very patronizing to tell her not to be emotional, to be intellectual. She's been very intellectual. Yeah, so you cannot come here with this argument of emotionality. Secondly, I think we need to understand feminism differently. You're speaking to a kind of white feminism, but we've had feminism in Africa, which predates, which has been pre-colonial. If you look into a lot of African traditions, Mali, the griot tradition, the Jelly tradition of Gambia, Senegal, Guinea, Mali. If you look at the likes of Ami Koita, Kumbasidibe, Umu Sangare, in their songs like Musolu, once you understand the language and you begin listening to what they sing about in their songs, it's purely feminism. They speak to women's issues. And the feminist issue is not mutually exclusive to the African struggle. You have issues such as circumcision, you have issues like fistula in Africa, and it's because of really like sexism and patriarchy why we have some of these issues. And sometimes like the African men can be oppressors, so it's like one and the same. So do not exclude the feminist issue, and it's not a kind of white feminism. This is black womanism, this is black feminism. And just to repeat this again, please do not come to her with saying that she's responding emotionally. Like, I think she had a lot of respect to ask you the question on a very intellectual premise, and I would appreciate if perhaps some of the other panelists could speak to this, because I find your stance very problematic. Dr. Adib,
that's okay. That's all right.
Be well appreciated.
But I'm going to respond since you responded to me. Number one, but she responded. I'm going to speak first because she responded to me. Number one, your comment on being emotional, I would say the same thing to a black man who I thought was reacting with emotion more so than reason. That had nothing to do with her being a woman. That's something that's said to man and woman. As far as black womanism and black feminism, they are not the same. And there are black feminist activists, black womanist activists who are trying to clarify African womanism versus a reactionary white female created feminist movement. Secondly, although there have been black women in traditional Africa who articulated the unique issues faced by black women in indigenous African society, they never saw the black male as a cause of their issues. In African culture, we work from family, man and woman together overcoming issues. We do not divide ourselves up by gender and then attack each other. We are a family first people.
I just want to say how proud I am of our future. It's all been said. I think it's the decisions we make, the actions that we take collectively, individually, and the spirit that drives us and motivates us, past, present, and future. I'm just immensely proud of you guys and girls.
Where are we going? Despite as bad as it looks right now, we're going back to where we belong. And that is the rulers of the global hierarchy. We're going back to our greatness. We're going back to our power. Where are we going? Back to our ancient glory. We were not put here to serve, but to be in charge. We were not put here to be on our knees, but to be on our feet. African, from God's Spirit. And we go back the way God put us at. That's where we go.
Well, where we're going back to our original designated place. Simple. I love you all.
Might be a silly question, but do we ever feel we could ever reach that level of enlightenment? Like, even me, myself, I've fallen for at times, you know. I might decide that I might listen to a certain tune that's glorifying a certain lifestyle, you know what I mean? Like a drug lifestyle, even though I would never personally live that lifestyle. Like, I may listen to a bit of fake WAP, you know, at the same time, you know what I mean? And can our sisters ever, you know, maybe get away from the European way of thinking, do you know what I mean? Like, when it comes down to, to using makeup in a certain way, or you know, maybe like doing things with their hair. Do you know what I mean? That is not from diaspora. You know what I mean? I'm just putting it out there as a bit of a curveball. Can we ever reach that state of enlightenment where we don't have to do these things anymore? And that, or is it swings and roundabouts? Is it a case of this is the universe? There's good as evil. There's going to be people that are going to sell our souls to the highest bidder. Do you know what I mean? Like, you know, what do people think about that? Like, where are we going? Is there ever going to be a state of total enlightenment for our people? And I just want to really put that out there.
Well, first of all, we want to extend the credibility to the people that put this whole event together. It's really warmed my heart. We're not gonna lie, it warmed my heart tremendously. Seeing and yeah, the issue with the woman, girls, you are the mother of creation. See, now I've not fret about you know. You don't need to get educated. You have to know that in your mind that you are the mother of creation. Without you, there's no one, there's nothing. See, so don't let them little ray, get you off key. You understand? The next thing, remember, aims and objectives. They change their methods, not their purpose. Yeah? Later on, we have performed around and intellect and, you know, because you know, Bobby and them full of rhetoric, but we have the intellect. Ah, bless you.
Well, what I want to be when I get older, I want to be a teacher. I want to teach our story, or many people know it as his story. But I want to teach our story in our schools, for our people, and I want them to learn the truth. And a lot of people ask me, how can you teach your music, or how can you do your music and teach at the same time? And I simply say, I teach my music.
I would just say that I enjoyed the conversation, and I would also say that we have to have those kind of conversations, as long as they're done with love. There's a tendency to shut out or block out any conversation that is considered sensitive or controversial. And that's one of the reasons why we don't progress ideologically, because we're afraid to go into those little crevices and work out those situations. We gotta have that feminist conversation, because a lot of people don't know the history of the movement. We gotta have that LBGT conversation. We gotta have that multicultural conversation. We have to talk about why the Pan-African movement must be all African with no non-African membership. These are controversial issues, but they have to be discussed.